Have you ever thought of summoning a solar, stasis, arc, and kinetic buddy that will basically do everything for you? To make this build even better, your buddies will help you generate a massive amount of light and darkness transcendence energy, which will also cause your enemies to explode while you're in transcendence mode. So if you enjoy spawning 4 buddies that will help you on the battlefield and also getting transcendence energy very quickly, then this build is for you. I would also appreciate it if you would hit that subscribe button because we are so close to reaching 5,000 subscribers, and I'll greatly appreciate that. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Let's first discuss the exotic armor piece we're going to be needing to use for this build. This is the first way to generate a buddy, specifically an arc buddy, and it's called the Getaway Artist. Whenever you hold your grenade button, it will convert your arc grenade into a arc soul, and it would also make you amplified. The arc soul will function as an autonomous turret, so whenever you consume your arc grenade, it would give you sentient arc soul for 20 seconds. And also your sentient arc soul will grant you 5% grenade energy whenever the burst hits a target. And also we are getting amplified, so we are using the seasonal artifact called Galvanic Armor. While you have an arc or prismatic subclass equipped, incoming damage from combatants is reduced while amplified, and this will give you a 30% damage reduction. And of course we are getting amplified, so be sure to go for the seasonal artifact called Shield Crush. While you are amplified or radiant, your grenade recharges faster and deals increased damage. And also go for Transference. Gain increased grenade and melee damage while transcendent. Weapon final blows while transcended will refund light and darkness energy after transcendence ends. And for the armor mods I am using for the Gauntlet is Impact Induction. Causing damage with a powered melee attack reduces your grenade cooldown. And the melee that we are using for this build is Arcane Needle, just because of the 3 charges, and also whenever we hit a target with our Arc Needle, it will unravel them. And for the second mod I chose to put is Bolstering Detonation. Grants class ability energy when you cause damage with a grenade. And the last mod is Grenade Kickstart. So the more armor charges you have and you were to consume your grenade or cast it, it will convert your armor charges into more grenade energy. So let's head to the Prismatic Warlock. For the super, I chose to go for Song of Flame, just because whenever you end your super, it would give all of your abilities back. And also, whenever you proc the super, it would 1, give your abilities increased ability regeneration, and 2, it would make your kinetic weapons scorch targets, in which case we are using a kinetic weapon that would help us get an additional buddy. We'll get onto that later. And this super would also make your weapons become radiant, and which will allow your weapons to stun anti-barrier champions. Let's head to the abilities. For the class ability, be sure to go for Phoenix Dive because of the base cooldown, which is 55 seconds. But we could be able to decrease the cooldown even further because we are going to need to prioritize in recovery because we are on Warlock for our stats. So if you have tier 10 recovery, it will reduce the cooldown of your class ability even more, and it would also increase the spread at which you regain lost health. But mainly we're focusing on reducing our class ability. So this aspect is the second way to spawn in a buddy, and that aspect is called Helion. Whenever we activate our class ability, it will summon a solar mortar that would shoot a lob of fire, which will hit them and cause them to scorch. So this aspect will apply times 30 scorch per hit within a 4-meter radius. And the third way to proc an extra buddy is on the stasis aspect called the Bleak Watcher. Whenever you hold your grenade, it will convert your grenade into a stasis turret that fires a slowing projectile at nearby targets. And you guys are probably curious to know how we can be able to spawn in an arc soul with our grenade and also the stasis turret. Well, whenever we consume our grenade, it will spawn in the arc soul, and after that it will poop out a stasis turret in front of us. So we're basically spawning in 2 buddies at once with our grenade. Let's head to the fragments. For the first one, be sure to go for Facet of Justice. While transcendent, your ability final blows explode, and you would also get plus 10 intellect. So this also applies with the stasis turret, the Helion, and also the arc soul we are going to be using for this build. But for the fourth one, which is going to be in our kinetic weapon slot, it will not proc. For the second fragment I went for is Facet of Devotion. Defeating targets afflicted with stasis or strand debuffs will grant a bonus light transcendence energy, and you would also get plus 10 strength. And the darkness debuffs are slow, freeze, sever, suspend, and unravel, but for us we're going to be slowing, freezing, and unraveling targets. The third fragment is Facet of Sacrifice. While you have an arc, solar, or void buff, ability final blows grants bonus darkness transcendence energy, and you would also get plus 10 discipline. So the main buff we're going to be getting from this build is amplified, and of of course, we will let our buddies do the work and clean up all the ads to give us more darkness energy. On the fourth fragment I chose to put is Facet of Solitude. This is primarily towards our kinetic exotic weapon we are using for the build. Landing rapid precision hits amidst a severing blast from the target. While Transcendence is activated, the severing blast will be bigger. And for the exotic weapon, we are going to need precision hits, so this fragment is going to be very, very good. The fifth fragment is Facet of Hope. While you have an elemental buff, your class ability regenerates more quickly. In most cases for us is going to be amplified, so whenever we get amplified, it would make our class ability regen faster, which will give us more of an opportunity to spawn in the Helion. And the last fragment I chose to put is Facet of Grace. Defeating targets with kinetic weapons grants you bonus Transcendence energy. Defeating targets with your super grants you and your nearby allies bonus Transcendence energy, but you will get minus 10 resilience. And again, for this build, we are primarily using our kinetic exotic pulse rifle, so this fragment is going to give us even more Transcendence energy, which will allow us to make our buddies cause an explosion when they get final blows. I might as well we're talking about that. Here is how you can be able to use your buddies efficiently when using Transcendence, because whenever you activate Transcendence, it will override your grenade into the freezing singularity. So here's what you need to do. Once you have your Transcendence energy full, before you activate it, be sure to proc your Getaway Artist to summon your Stasis Turret and your Arc Soul. Once you do that, then you can activate your Transcendence, and you can also proc your Helion and also the exotic pulse rifle if you want to be very efficient when getting explosion kills with your buddies. So let's head to the exotic pulse rifle. It is called the No Time to Explain. This is the fourth way to spawn in a buddy. The perk is called a Time Slip. At 10 stacks of Rewind again, a small portal will open, shooting bullets from an alternate timeline version of this weapon. Precision hits extend the portal's duration. So long story short, if you were to get 10 precision hits, it would spawn in a kinetic buddy that will shoot targets in front of you. This pulse rifle also has this perk called Feeding Frenzy. Each rapid kill with this weapon will progressively increase the reload speed for a short time. And if you do want your kinetic buddy for this pulse rifle to be more aggressive towards enemies, be sure to go for the Catalyst, because your projectiles from the time portal will shoot more frequently. And also, whenever you get precision shots or shots against combatants that are slowed or frozen by stasis, it will return ammo to the magazine. So the only way for us to proc that one for the stasis part is with our stasis turret, but we are most likely going to be getting precision hits. What's also cool about this build is that for the energy and power weapon, you can choose any other weapon you like, but for me, I chose to go for Indebted Kindness for my energy weapon, just because I can be able to stun unstoppables because of the seasonal artifacts. And for the perks, I do recommend going for on the third column is Lead from Gold, so whenever we pick up in heavy ammo, it would also grant this weapon ammo as well. And on the fourth column, go for Volt Shot, because whenever you get a kill and then you reload afterwards, your next shot will jolt the next target, which will also stun overload champions as well. And the origin trait for this sidearm is called Sundering. Whenever we destroy vehicles and constructs or breaking a shield, most likely, it will grant this weapon bonus reload and increased charge rate. And for the power weapon, I chose to go for this Strand machine gun called the Pro Memoria, just because of the third column called the Demolitionist. Kills with this weapon will generate grenade energy. Activating your grenade ability reloads this weapon from reserves. So you can either cast your arc grenade or consume your arc grenade, and this will reload this weapon from reserves. So whenever we get weapon kills for this LMG, we are going to be getting plus 10 grenade ability energy back. And on the fourth column, you can either go for Bait and Switch or Frenzy, but in the gameplay that you are seeing, I am using Frenzy. So being in combat for an extended time will increase damage, handling, and reload speed for this weapon until you are out of combat. And also, I wanted to take my priority for the origin trait called the Dealer's Choice. Final blows with this weapon will grant a small amount of super energy. Equipping multiple weapons from the Pale Heart will increase this effect. Sadly, we are not using another variation for this to proc the increase effect for the Dealer's Choice, but I just want to take full advantage of the seasonal artifact called Winning Hand. While using weapons with the Dealer's Choice origin trait, combatant precision final blows or rapid kills will cause them to explode, dealing solar damage to nearby combatants. So for the stats for the build, I already mentioned your main priority is to go for recovery, and your second priority is to go for resilience to give you that 30% damage reduction if you have tier 10. So let's head to the armor mods for the build. Let's start with the helmet. Be sure to go for Dynamo, reduce your super cooldown when using your class ability near targets. For the second mod, go for Kinetic Siphon. Rapid kinetic final blows will create an orb of power. Lastly, go for Heavy Ammo Finder. Increases the drop chance of heavy ammo upon defeating an opponent opponent. On the chest armor, I do recommend going for Charged Up. Increases the maximum number of stacks of armor charges you can carry by 1. So now we could be able to hold 4 armor charges. The second armor mod, go for Harmonic Resistance. Reduces incoming solar damage from combatants. And lastly, go for Void Resistance. Now onto the leg armor. For the first one, go for Recuperation. Replenishes health each time you pick up an orb of power. And the second mod, go for Elemental Charge. Whenever collecting a Fire Sprite, Ionic Trace, Stasis Shard, or Void Breach, or destroying a Strand of Tangle, you would have an escalating chance to give you an armor charge. And lastly, for the leg armor, go for Absolution. Reduces all ability cooldowns each time you pick up an orb of power. For the final armor piece, which is the Warlock Bond, for the first mod, go for Reaper. Shortly after using your class ability, your next weapon Final Blow will spawn an orb of power. For the second armor mod, go for Powerful Attraction. Automatically collects nearby orbs of power when you activate your class ability. And lastly, go for Bomber. Reduces grenade cooldown when using your class ability. So here's the gameplay loop for the build. Your main goal is to reach ×9 for your no time to explain. And once you're there, be sure to get a precision hit again to proc the kinetic buddy. Then afterwards, consume your grenade to spawn in a stasis turret and your arc soul. And then afterwards, activate your class ability to spawn in the Helion, and rinse and repeat. If you made it this far into the video, I would like to say thank you so much for reaching this far. It really means a lot to me. And if you guys did find this helpful or found it fun, feel free to hit that like button and also subscribe. And I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, evening, or afternoon. Take care and peace.